Cancel culture is a danger to civilized society. Is that a bold statement? Probably yes, but there is a reason why all the civilized and developed countries have the presumption of innocence in their system. And it might not always be perfect, but at least we're trying. Cancel culture is the exact opposite of that. It's the presumption of guilt, like in the Middle Ages when somebody would burn a woman as a witch because her neighbor had told on her because she had stomped on his foot a day earlier and hadn't apologized. That's what cancel culture is, and you will see this in the two examples that I'm going to make, and a little bit more general statements. But today we're going to talk in particular about Glamlite and Ensley Reign. These are two very different examples. In both cases, I think cancel culture is not okay. I have wanted to make this video for the longest time. Feel free to disagree with me. This is why I want to define what cancel culture is, first of all. I will give you my definition. You might have a different one, but just so that we're on the same page so that you know what I'm talking about. Cancel culture isn't just when you stop buying from a brand or unfollow them or unfollow a creator and stop buying their merch. It's not even when you tell your friends and family and followers why you did that, like what is that the brand or the creator did wrong, that you unfollowed them and that you're not supporting them anymore. Cancel culture is when you start shaming people for not doing the same thing. So essentially you see someone is still following that creator or buying from that brand and you're saying, no, stop, you're a terrible person because you're doing that. That is cancel culture. They might have their own reasons for still following that brand or buying from them, and they're not obliged to tell them to you. They don't owe you anything, right? One of the reasons they might have, as we will see in the first example, is that you would just be wrong. Well, not you in particular, but sometimes people canceling a brand, a person, anything might simply be mistaken. That's what happened to Glamlite, and once again I don't have solid proof because I'm not the official judge and I didn't have like documents and proofs brought to me, and I didn't inspect people's computers and other devices, but I do have a reason to believe Glamlite. I will explain why. Obviously you can still have a different opinion. You can stop buying from any brand, you can unfollow any brand, any creator at any point in time. That's completely your right. That is not cancel culture, okay? If someone did something you didn't like, or maybe they even didn't do anything and you just wanted to unfollow them, you obviously can. But the thing that happened with Glamlite, first of all, let's preface that by saying that Glamlite has been on the market for a few years. I can't remember the exact number, but I think it's like at least 3 years, maybe more. And during that time, they didn't really have any controversies, at least, you know, regarding their customers or them being shady or anything like that. Now, all of a sudden, so that's why, like, this seemed a little bit suspicious to me at first. There was this girl on TikTok who bought the Glamlite's recent lip kits, which consisted of a lip gloss and I believe a lip liner, but the crucial part here is the lip gloss. And she was showing inside of the tube of the lip gloss and claiming that they arrived like almost empty or half empty. And she was also saying that she couldn't get a hold of Glamlite, that they were not replying, that they would not give her a refund. Then she made a few videos on that topic. Then that they blocked her, they deleted her reviews on TikTok Shop. She had bought from TikTok Shop. She had said a lot of different things and people were jumping on the wagon. Not all people. Not all people. Some people were a little bit suspicious of this story. I, for example, was. I did leave a comment on one of the YouTube videos where somebody else had left a comment like, it looks like these lip glosses I used. I was like, well, maybe she just opened them a few times, like to see if something was in there or not. Maybe they're really used. And I commented something like, whoa, that's like a really bad thing if, you know, she's deceiving us, something along these lines, you know. And somebody started right away, somebody else, of course, started right away attacking me like, do you work for Glamlite? Like, what are you saying? We should hold the brands accountable. We should. And that video that the girl made was holding the brand accountable, right, for them sending her a half empty or an almost empty lip gloss. And that is a normal thing. You can make a video about your experience. But I have expressed like a bit of a doubt on whether this girl was telling the truth or not, because we don't know, right? We don't know like what happened. The truth about, you know, Glamlite not refunding her, not replying to her, and I was immediately attacked. Later on, though, we made peace with that person who was attacking me, and we agreed that we don't know everything, and she was just a little bit emotional because I guess maybe she had a bad experience with some other brand, but like everything was right in the end in this particular case. But a lot of people had jumped on that, started accusing Glamlite immediately, and I was like, maybe that girl is telling the truth, right? It's not like I think she's lying just immediately, just out of the blue. But like, we need to hear at the very least the other side of the story, right? In my opinion, rule number one, before you decide to cancel someone, at least hear the other side of the story, okay? Another thing that seemed shady about Glamlite is that they had closed their comments. People will, oh, they closed their comments, they want to silence us. They cannot silence you, babe. You can make your own video, you can comment on, you know, somebody else's video, you can express your opinion in any way you please. They just closed their comments. They cannot silence you. Time went by. Giselle, the owner of Glamlite, made a video, posted it to her gram, addressing the situation. She did have receipts, unlike that first girl who was posting the video. She did have receipts, like screenshots. Obviously, yeah, you can fake a screenshot. That's why I'm saying, like, I don't have completely solid proof. They don't look fake to me. You can believe what you like, but she showed screenshots that this customer had emailed at like 1 o'clock something and got a reply at like 3 o'clock something.
Customer contacted customer service support at 1:44 p.m. at 3:04 p.m. 3:04, please let that sink in. Here are the screenshots where my customer service team responded immediately,
saying that they apologized, Glamlite, and they would give her a refund. And on top of that, they would also give her a refund for the 2 orders that she had made and that were on her way to her, that she hadn't gotten yet. So there was obviously nothing wrong with these orders, at least at the time being, because she hadn't gotten them yet. And they refunded her the glosses, they refunded her those 2 orders. They said there was no necessity to send anything back. She can like keep everything, even if the products arrive, they're good, she can keep them. She doesn't need to give them back the money. Like, they basically addressed it in the nicest way possible. Honestly, I don't think they had to refund those 2 orders, right? I think they kind of had to refund the first order if the glosses indeed arrived, you know, damaged in this way. But they didn't have to refund the other 2 orders. However, they did, just to maintain a good customer brand relationship. But apparently she wasn't up for that girl. And the thing is that after she posted these videos, and that is the reason why Glamlite turned off their comments, that there was immediately so much hate on Glamlite's page, immediately, without hearing their side of the story. And there were death threats. There were like, literally, she screenshotted the comments where somebody was saying that they would kill them. They would come to their warehouse, which is like a public information, where the warehouse is located, right? They ship from it. They would come there and like kill the people working there. Like, can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? So turning off the comments was like one way to like at least stop reading those death threats. How insane is that? That's what I want to say about cancel culture. Obviously, I'm not saying that all people who are canceling a brand and who are even trying to shame others for not doing the same thing are sending death threats. These are totally different levels, right? Of course. But the extent this is going to. This escalated in like minutes.
Within minutes, we were getting flooded with death threats in the comments.
This escalated in minutes, and people were sending death threats over a damaged lip gloss. Like, even imagine Glamlite really blocked that girl and really deleted her reviews, which, by the way, they said they can't do. TikTok Shop like simply doesn't have this function. The seller cannot delete reviews. Even if they did all that she was accusing them of, right? Didn't give her a refund, weren't replying, blocked her, deleted the reviews. Is that worth a death threat? Like, I was just in so much shock. Death threats are never justified. And like, I don't know what you can do to get them. I mean, something obviously very, very horrible. Not like sending a faulty lip gloss. Here are some takeaways from the story. Like, rule number 1, hear the other side of the story. And rule number 2, if somebody is accusing a brand or a creator And that's like the first ever time you hear something shady going on about them, or like the first time in years. So they're always unproblematic, and suddenly there's someone accusing them of terrible sins. That might not be true. It might be true. That's why I'm saying check. But just like, let this give you a suspicion, okay? Before you jump to conclusions. I'm very pleased to see that people are catching on the other side of the story now, and some creators like Robert Welsh, who was not, of course, hating and not sending any death threats, God forbid, but who had made previously a video that Glamlite was in the wrong. He made the next video with Giselle's side of the story and said that he was mistaken. He took it to his audience. That's a great thing to do. Admit that you were mistaken, admit that you jumped to conclusions a little bit too quickly, and tell your audience the truth, which I think is the most important in this case. By the way, if you're finding this video useful so far, please tap that like button. Then the next example that we are going to is the Ensley Reign controversy. Now, I won't be explaining exactly what happened for some legal reasons, but you can easily find this controversy that happened in the end of December. You can just either search it on YouTube or Google, or you can go to the creators' videos, such as, for example, also Robert Welsh or Jen Love, and you can see their videos on what exactly happened. But how do I put it? Ensley Reign liked some posts on the gram that had questionable points of views expressed in them, and people didn't like that. People were not happy with that, and rightfully so. In this case, I personally think Ensley Reign did not do the right thing. However, we are not talking about what Ensley Reign did right now. We are talking about how people reacted, okay? So the cancel culture is not about someone being in the wrong, but about the way people react to it. They interacted with one of the posts, people were holding them accountable, were calling them out, which is fine, which is what we should do. And they replied in a story that they didn't fully read the post, they just read the first part and they agreed with that, but they didn't agree with the second part, something along the lines. And people were like, no. There have been other posts that you interacted with and that you liked, and you know, that's not okay. The apology on a story that vanishes after 24 hours, you know, you clearly want to sweep it under the rug. And they made a post like people wanted. They made a post saying that they did some questionable things, they want to get better, they want to hear from the community, and they want to become better. And some people actually applauded that and said, yeah, that's great that you want to become better. But some people were commenting like, no, you cannot become better. Like, if you weren't better from the start, you cannot become better. If you didn't have the right views from the very beginning, you can never change your views. You cannot have the right views now. I mean, what? People change their views all the time. Some people, you know, were living for one reason or another in some misinformation. Then they get access to like new information and then they change their views. Some people were mistaken. There are even people who used to behave like a-holes sometime in the past and then they changed their ways. Like, people can change. Now, I'm not saying that if what they did is triggering you, it's very emotional for you, and you just don't want to have anything to do with it, that you should like continue following Ensley Reign and supporting them. I think there are two ways that would be the efficient way to behave in this situation. If you know, if that's emotional for you, if that triggers you, if you don't want to have anything to do with it, and you just want to like distance yourself from it to have less drama in your life, I mean, just unfollow Ensley Reign, just stop buying from them, and maybe tell your friends and family why you did that, and your followers, you have every right to do so, and that's it, right? Or if you have the emotional resources, if you are okay with that, and you can help them get on the journey of getting better, and maybe support them, maybe acquaint them with some people that you think are spreading the right message, then do it. But don't come to their comments under that post, which they closed, by the way, but the comments were not closed initially, saying, oh, if they were not good from the start, they can never get better. That's just not true. Many people are making the argument, oh, they are lying just because it is hurting their bag, you know, so they want to make money, and they're saying they will get better because then their customers will remain loyal and they won't be losing the money. So they're lying because it benefits them. Well, yes, it does benefit them, but that doesn't mean they're lying. Two things can be true at a time. Something may benefit you, but you might also genuinely believe in that. Obviously, that doesn't mean they're not lying, but they might be telling the truth. People is like, what if they're lying? And I'm like, what if they're not? What if they're not? And you're just pushing them away and say, no, you can't sit with us. You cannot. If you're not good enough, and you will never be good enough, go sit with those people from whom you have adopted the views, and that way you will never get out of there. The whole point of, spreading messages about something, spreading awareness, is to make some people change their views, right? If you're spreading awareness of something, if you're spreading a message, you're not spreading it for those who already have the same views, because they don't need that. But you're spreading it mostly for people who don't have the same views yet, so that they have something to think about. And here the person is telling you, hey, I want to get better. And you're like, I think you're lying. What if they're not? That is another thing that I feel is wrong with cancel culture. We're not giving people a chance for redemption. Even if we're sure that the person did something wrong, we're not giving them a chance for redemption, and I don't really see why. Then also some general statements that we can make. If you are canceling a brand, in my opinion, you're not just canceling the owner, because oftentimes people are canceling a brand because the owner did something bad, and they're like, we don't want the owner to profit from our money, so we're canceling the brand. That has a point. The owner isn't benefiting if you're buying from a brand. However, so do plenty of workers, which may be good people. If you're canceling a brand and these workers, who are potentially good people, are losing their jobs, is it a good thing? I don't have an answer to that. Does the owner not making the profit outweigh that some good people potentially are losing their jobs? I don't know. Each one decides for themselves, but that might be one of the reasons why someone is not canceling the brand that somebody else is canceling, and that's fine. You can inform them of what the brand has done. You can express your opinion. You're free to do that. You can give them the information, but it's their decision. Suppliers of the brand, other people might be losing their jobs and things like that. Also, sometimes people just don't have many alternatives. I hear oftentimes people from the US canceling some US brand when they have plenty of alternatives. Now, for example, in other countries, you might have this US brand which is being canceled, but you might not have other ones which are producing the same product, for example. Just as an example, when we did have USA brands here, Jeffree Star Cosmetics was the only one making green lipsticks, for example, that you could buy locally, green liquid lipsticks. There were a couple of other brands who produced colorful lipsticks. There wasn't a green, but there were very few of them. So we did have Jeffree Star, KVD, back when they had colorful lipsticks, though they do have them again. Fenty Beauty, MAC, and NYX. Jeffree Star Cosmetics was the only brand that carried, for example, green, yellow, and white. Sometimes people don't have as much choice as you do. And also another thought about cancel culture. People sometimes say, oh, you should do your research. Guys, it's impossible to do your research over any brand that you're buying from. You're going to a supermarket. You're buying from 50 brands at a time. Did you do your research about each and every one of them? I don't think so, because it's just not realistic. Obviously, if you hear some controversy about a brand already, that might be reasonable to do your research and make up your mind what you think about this. I don't think anyone is checking every single brand that they're buying from, because they're not just beauty brands, right, that we are usually talking about on this channel, but they're grocery brands. You went to that supermarket, the supermarket is also a brand. On your way there, you drove a car, that is also a brand, and your car has tires that are also a brand. Do you know every single beneficiary of every single brand? And what if one beneficiary of that brand is a good person and the other one is a bad person? What do we do then? So I just think it's a quite complicated question. Each person has every right to make the decision at any point in time from whom they want to buy, from whom they don't want to buy, what is worth it, what is not worth it. But I don't think we have the right to decide for other people, and I don't think we have the right to blame them for not making the same choice. If we're curious, we can ask them why they're not making the same choice, and I think that's fine if we do so respectfully and politely. But we cannot jump on them and attack them for not coming to the same conclusions as we did. Let me know if you agree with me in the comments. What points you agree or disagree with. It's absolutely fine to disagree with me, by the way. And if you want to stay with me and to discuss some makeup controversies, which are not as controversial as this video, you can take a look right here at this playlist, and I'll see you there. Bye!